America has built some of the most powerful, loudest, and downright unhinged performance cars the world has ever seen, but not all of them made it to legend status. These are 10 American performance monsters you probably forgot existed, and what they were capable of might just blow your mind. 10. Saleen S7, the supercar nobody trusted. It boasted an impressive 750 horsepower, reached a remarkable top speed of 248 miles per hour, and had a design that seemed to have been plucked directly from a Le Mans racetrack. The Saleen S7 was meant to be America's answer to Ferrari, exuding an exotic appeal and producing a sound that was undeniably thrilling. However, there was a significant issue. It lacked credibility in the eyes of potential buyers. Saleen was primarily recognized as a tuner for Mustangs, rather than a legitimate automobile manufacturer. Consequently, when the S7 was launched, it failed to generate excitement. People merely shrugged it off. "It's fast," they remarked, "but I'd prefer a Lamborghini." Despite making appearances in films and video games, the S7 faded into obscurity. Only true automotive enthusiasts recall the extraordinary capabilities of this remarkable machine, but that was just the beginning. 9. Consulier GTP, the fastest car you'd never be caught inside of. And this vehicle is truly an eccentricity. The Consulier GTP was known for being fast, lightweight, and turbocharged, but it was also quite hideous. Created by Warren Mosler prior to establishing Mosler Automotive, the GTP essentially represented the unconventional experiment of a man who was indifferent to public opinion. It featured a 2.2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine sourced from Chrysler and had an appearance reminiscent of a discarded Hot Wheels design. However, here's the surprising part. It had the ability to outpace many much swifter cars on the racetrack, all due to its remarkable power-to-weight ratio. Despite this impressive performance, it garnered little attention. Lacking in allure, with minimal production numbers, it faced relentless ridicule from automotive journalists. The Consulier GTP serves as the automotive equivalent of the saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Sadly, people certainly did judge it based on its looks, but the man behind it wasn't done just yet. 8. Mosler MT900. Warren Mosler made a bold return with the MT900, and this time, it truly resembled a genuine supercar. At its core, it housed the engine of a Corvette, quite literally. The initial models were equipped with the LS1 V8, which was later enhanced to the powerful 600 horsepower LS7. Some variants were so minimalistic that they tipped the scales at less than 2,400 pounds. That's even lighter than a Miata, but with 3 times the horsepower. The design was crafted by Rod Trenna, the same designer responsible for the C5 Corvette, and the MT900 was envisioned as America's response to the prestigious McLaren F1. Certain versions even found their way onto racing circuits, achieving real success in competitions. However, despite its performance being able to compete with the finest in Europe, it remained a highly specialized product. It was perceived as too unconventional, too unfamiliar, and with only a handful produced, it faded away as quietly as it had arrived. This represented yet another missed chance for American automotive excellence. But Mosler was not the only one aiming high with ambitious projects. 7. SCG-004 Picture a scenario where a Hollywood film producer decided to create a car to rival Ferrari. That's precisely what Jim Glickenhaus accomplished. The SCG-004 is a race car that is legal for street use, featuring a center seat configuration reminiscent of the McLaren F1. What powers this beast? A supercharged V8 engine delivering 650 horsepower sourced directly from General Motors. It's raw, it's loud, and it's utterly outrageous. However, here's the surprising part. Hardly anyone is aware of its existence. Many people mistakenly believe that Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus is merely a small boutique Italian manufacturer. In reality, it's an American company, and the 004 stands out as one of the most intense vehicles ever created, comparable to anything that Ferrari has produced. If Batman hailed from Brooklyn, this would undoubtedly be the car he would drive. And on the topic of overlooked excellence, 6. SSC Ultimate Aero, the Speed King that disappeared. For a brief moment, this car was crowned the fastest production vehicle on the planet, leaving the Bugatti Veyron in its dust and zooming past everything else on the highway. With over 1,200 horsepower from its twin-turbo V8 engine, the SSC Ultimate Aero was basically a rocket wrapped in carbon fiber. It clocked a jaw-dropping speed of 256 miles per hour during tests. But wait, there's a catch. To officially snag the title of world's fastest, a manufacturer needs to roll out at least 25 units units of the car. SSC didn't quite hit that mark, so the record didn't count. As a result, the car faded into the stuff of legends. Eventually, SSC made a comeback with the Tuatara, which stirred up its own share of drama. Still, it was the original Ultimate Aero that truly deserved the crown, and somehow, we all seem to have hit the forget button on it. If you're enjoying the video, consider leaving a like and comment any cars we missed. 5. Roshan Q1. You might assume this next car hails from Britain, and you'd be partially correct. The Roshan Q1 began its journey as the Noble M400, a serious track beast from the UK. However, after Noble sold the rights, an American firm swooped in, relocated production to sunny Florida, and rebranded it as the Roshan Q1. The core elements remained intact: a featherweight body, a twin-turbo Ford V6, and absolutely zero stability control. But the Rossian cranked things up a notch, fine-tuning the design and ramping up the thrill factor. It goes from 0 to 60 in a mere 2.8 seconds. Manual transmission? You bet, no electronic nannies here. It was raw, speedy, and merciless. The kind of ride that rewards finesse while giving egos a swift kick. Yet, like many cars on this list, it hardly got any publicity. People were clueless about what it was, or its origins, and by the time they finally figured it out, it had vanished. Just a fleeting moment in automotive lore, unless you were fortunate enough to take one for a spin. 4. Falcon F7, the one-man supercar army. This vehicle had everything one could desire: striking aesthetics, a powerful 629 horsepower LS7 V8 engine sourced from GM, and support from the renowned Corvette tuner Lingenfelter. Known as the Falcon F7, it was meticulously crafted in Michigan by a small company with grand aspirations. The car was not only fast, but also rare and stunning, yet it was tragically underrated. So what went wrong? Very few people decided to purchase one. The company was too diminutive, the price of the car was too high, and without substantial marketing funds, it quietly faded into the background. In fact, the entire Falcon Motorsports company was put up for sale, and included in that sale was one fully operational F7. It's one of those rare automobiles that makes you pause and wonder, how did this not gain popularity? However, the subsequent car, it had all the potential to be a success, until the creators failed to execute their vision properly. 3. VLF Force 1, when Fisker met the Viper. Begin with a Dodge Viper and hand it over to Henrik Fisker, the mastermind behind the Aston Martin DB9. Add a roaring 745 horsepower V10 engine, a featherweight carbon fiber body, and a design that looks like it's ready to leap into action. But wait, Fisker wasn't flying solo on this ride. Bob Lutz, the former vice chairman of GM and a true legend in the muscle car arena, also had a hand in its creation. With such heavy hitters involved, you'd expect this car to be the talk of the town. Instead, it was like a magician's trick. Poof, and it vanished into silence. The Force 1 launched in shockingly limited numbers, got a few whispers of reviews, and quickly faded from memory. With a price tag around $300,000, it didn't quite carry the same flair as Ferrari or McLaren. Potential buyers were understandably cautious about investing in a car that wasn't exactly a household name. These days, it's almost like a ghost, but chasing it down is still an adventure worth having, if only to say you spotted it before it disappeared completely. 2. Vector W8, the Madman supercar. Let's talk about chaos. The Vector W8 was the dream child of Jerry Wiegert, an eccentric genius who wanted to create America's answer to Ferrari. What he delivered was a 625 horsepower twin-turbo wedge with aerospace tech and fighter jet vibes. On paper, it was brilliant. Some even claimed it could push 1,000 horsepower on race fuel. In reality, it was plagued by delays, legal battles, and overpromises. Tennis star Andre Agassi famously bought one, then sued the company after it nearly overheated just driving around town. The press turned on it, investors bailed, and eventually Jerry Wiegert was pushed out of his own company. The Vector W8 could have worked. It had the performance, the madness, the American grit, it just needed better execution. Instead, it ended up as one of the most dramatic car flops of the 90s. But Vector wasn't finished yet. Number 1. Vector M12. After Wiegert's exit, the remnants of Vector Aeromotive were scooped up by Indonesian company Megatech. the same group that happened to own Lamborghini at the time. Their solution? Slap a vector body onto a Lamborghini Diablo chassis, stuff in a 5.7-liter V12, and call it the M12. The result was confusing. On one hand, it looked like a science fiction spaceship. On the other, it drove like a Diablo with stage fright. Critics hated it. Auto Week called it the worst car they'd ever tested. Just 17 were ever built before Vector collapsed for good. So why does it top this list? Because it's the perfect symbol of what could have been. A Frankenstein's monster of speed, ego, and misplaced ambition, and a reminder that performance alone doesn't guarantee a place in the spotlight. Sometimes being great isn't enough. You have to be remembered. These were machines that roared, but were barely heard. They could have changed the game. Which one do you think deserved more attention? Let us know in the comments. And if you want a deep dive into more forgotten legends, rare supercars, or insane flops, you know what to do. Because trust us, this rabbit hole only gets deeper.